So what's going on, you know? If you're like me, you've heard tell of this here justice system they on about around these parts. But I don't know where it is. I mean, someone like me, just a reporter, gets followed around by them with ripper hatters. Peculiar. Here's some proof. It's called paper. Sound Mental, dated August 21st, 2013. Certifies that I was a member of the recovery program from 2001 on. That's 12, 13 years that they refused to allow me to go to school because they said I would fail, because they were homilying various sermons behind the scenes. And when I got back to Pittsburgh, which was difficult because I was broke, what we see here is that I went to court to try to show that there was a system in place of infection mongering. And they said, come and try it. It's a game, and we'll laugh you out of court. Of course, we're a million grannies poorer because that's what the so-called justice system does. So what was their sermon? I found that out when I get to Tacoma Community College. They are, who is entitled to tell a story? This is what the UW dialectical is on about licky chops. Whose story are told for them? So let's see what's going on behind the scenes in this wizard war of UW dialectical. They come to Pittsburgh, where, you know, it's Dixon and the Lady Panthers, and they put out an Indian man benighted, overlooking with scrutiny the idea that the white should east-west circuit with the Japanese token. And this is the Lenin system all in play. And the Lady Panther had seduced the queer bait on a dare about AIDS, and therefore, by Licky Chop's law, the token was owed to the black man. You see, and this goes into the wheels and the circuits, and they're all neat. And that's a co-prosperity system, they say. Well, we live in a generation of reporters who betray American heritage from inside the fourth estate. I don't think it's funny to play a pussy ball game of entrapment eugenics and mass serial genocide with someone who's just an on-campus romantic. They were calling me an incurable romantic back in the 70s, right? So what's with the mysteries? You see, we find a picture of Gail Burson when we do a search for a lyric. How strange, how gifted these strange people are with cinemascope. And they laugh. You're you're lying. I saw you. And they say right back at you, what's got into you? See? Whose life was stolen? It's a dialectical. Rather us. You see, this is the this is the man who this is Ronald Reagan and Errol Flint with the U.S. under the swastika, and says rather us. There's a script from Ringo. Okay, and guess who rather us is? It's the black man would rather us because they're in the arc of planning, and the white owes them. You see, notice that the black women are in on this. This is from Jet Magazine. Okay, so blacks were in on this. The woman who first tried to kill King was named Eliza Curry. She resembled this one. This is a crack in his head, see, and the oblique stroke, and the two women who sort of look like one woman, and the Licky Chops cameraman from Jack Ruby's Carousel Club are all playing Pete. So we know what's going on here is Operation Little Girl from the educational history of the West. Whose story is going to be told? Who were the two people who knew? Lennon and McCartney are the two people who knew. You see, this is called Licky Chops. It's an organization that controls in the United States of America from Her Majesty's government because they disapproved of completely shunning the Axis motives. See, Oswald used December 7th, and the seat of the Confederacy was in Liverpool. And it's really, they say the joke's on you, right? With Obama, because they did end Poor Pig. See, the black man understands chivalry. You don't say. He said this man was jumping tuning Goebbels. Surrounding my name with positive negative signs, telling me I needed Alamo plaque put in my mouth because he is honoring the black man. He's a white Green Party dude, but he's honoring the black man because he was protecting the 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 Debs call of the black military in America. On so you forgive all that, and it'll be just like starting over. So you see, what they did was they rearranged the story. Whose story is it to tell? Well, they say, oh, the Pittsburgh provincial story. See, poor Queerbait. You could see he was mauled. They say, oh, that's not that's open to interpretation. But you notice it's right where I said it was. It was right where it didn't just pop out of a hat. They were denying that there was any evidence at all. Jack Ruby's buddy's Japanese dude under the rickshaw. I mean the Zuklier emblem. As they bring out Death Cab for Cutie, that's Oswald's body they're pulling out. So you got to wonder what's going on with all this, because there's plenty of things to see. There's plenty of things to see. You can snippy paste and you say, whose story is it? Dialectical says it's their story, and then an interesting story they say. Here's a really good example. Dewey defeats Truman, but Truman really won. Guess who Casper really won? Against Truman thinks he won is what's that supposed to mean. And you look at the woman who came all the way. My friend Martha Gellhorn lived in the White House with Franklin and Eleanor. And the double cross they used for the underworld in Casablanca. She was a star of Hitler's cinema. She comes to a gaslight and even played Martha Gellhorn and For Whom the Bell Tolls, but she was a Nazi double agent. That's why they used the double cross for the symbol, because the Axis Hollywood was coming to make a star. Greg Carl used to say Queerbait is going to perform for us. Guess who they got to perform for them? See? And you'll suppose they got Roberto to perform for them too. And they took some divvies from my very best friend. And they say, but we're going to free Nelson Mandela for Noah. You see, they're building Zork. Ha 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 ha. Zork. Ha 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 ha. So why am I to blame for all this? I've been telling people you should do better with ecology. They put out Flame Over Africa. We're going to scorch Africa. Back in the 70s with people who torture me. And I'm saying we should stop them. I even get the attention of the full media circuit in 1980. And they send in a black man from Senegal, Yammer, no, we like the guy who made Flame Over Africa better. They're shaking their fist at me, right? Alan Dulles and Ian Fleming double-crossed J. Edgar Hoover by giving British Secret Service a license to kill in America. He, they didn't want, Hoover didn't want that. He was against it. He had an argument with them. Edgar Hoover went along with stuff he shouldn't have, that's for sure. But he gets scapegoated some of the time. Now, we know that Hitler didn't particularly appreciate. He laughed when he saw Charlie Chaplin play the great dictator, but he said to Errol Flynn, who lived in Laurel Canyon with Houdini, we're gonna get even with that characterization. And they, reread the motorcade, and they say, "What's that voice up there? Must be Casper, the friendly ghost. And who's the great dictator now? Trippy tune is what they're on about, and it's impossible to get hope. You say some, you say some about how it looks like she's hiding a weapon, you know, and and they murdered, the Canadian authorities murdered pacifist Jehovah's Witnesses in World War II. You look, I'm supposed to go there to get away from Robert Fripp, and he's an alien too. What do? They queer baited the neuroplasm. They queer baited him. He was poor paid. They had cancers on his face, and what they want is a performance from queer bait. And this, they lick your chops, belongs to the honor system. They sent me a bagel knife tube from the post office, who followed my letter to the Kennedys and murdered two more Kennedys when they slasher rippered Shannon Harps. The night before, I put out my bagel knife to get rid of it because they were insisting, and then they slasher murder Shannon Harps. And how do they get away with this? You want to know how they get away with this? They'll still going to say, no, you're not through the looking glass. The way they get away with it is they say, we still have your cat's letter, duff sack. That's how they say it. After Cersei Kennedy was murdered, I gave up on this place. Left great valuables. Even the kids like my Clint Eastwood autograph, which is in one of the boxes. See, I wanted to just leave. I give a lot of stuff away. I'd like to leave. Someday I would want to go back to Pittsburgh, for God's sakes. Those people were out of their minds. But I must say that there's some strength to be found in just hobnobbing with the people who picket laws in politics. Don't trust Overstone. No, he's one of the people who did this to me. He's a hardened Jewish fascist.